Hi, this is Andy from MPRV News. Welcome to the origins of MPRV News, part 50. Yep, the final episode. 2018. MPRV News was in full flow at the Manchester Punk Festival, and we was literally piling up the footage and the interviews. All the bands were being great on time, and all our little time slots were getting filled, and we was hardly missing anything we had on our list. Bar an early morning breakfast we had before doors had even opened, eating was confined mainly to eating on the move, normally between one venue to the next. It was those periods when we had time to think that me especially was noticing the difference between the Manchester Punk Festival and other so-called better festivals I had been to in the past. The age difference of the audience was a lot different. It was a lot younger crowd, a more up-to-date crowd than what was happening now in the punk scene. And also there was a lot more vibrant when the bands were playing live on the dance floor. Other things I noticed was the lack of barriers and security. You know, when you go to other festivals, you have these big ridiculous barriers pushing you further away from the stage, and also a whole line of bouncers just staring at you. There was really none of that at this festival. It was just a total fun time. All the drink prices were reasonable, and you even got a discount on food with your ticket. Another amazing thing about the festival was the 50 plus people that were working at the festival were all volunteers. They weren't doing it for the money, they was doing it for the love of punk music. And this added to the whole sense of the event, where you didn't feel like you was going as a walking pound sign with the event trying to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. This was all about you and you having a good time. We did have our drama moments though. One of the bands we planned to interview was a band called Bobby Funk, who was playing the Zombie Shack. The plan was to film a few of their songs, and then me and Shell was actually going to have a little break and then interview them at the end of the set. But disaster struck instantly. My camera literally burnt out as soon as I turned it on to film their first song. Didn't burn into flames, mind you, but it was dead and gone. But there was now time to just stand there and sulk about it. Me and Shell had a game plan from the start of the festival that if the unlikely event the camera did break down, she would cover me with a mobile filming the set in HD while I head back to the hotel and get another camera. So Shell carried on filming the set while I legged it basically at my top speed, which is more like a tortoise top speed, to the hotel. Luckily I managed to get back in time to catch the last two songs of the set with the new camera. After that point, everything went smooth for the rest of the festival, thankfully, as far as the cameras and gear went. By the end of the festival, I was totally hooked on DIY punk. I couldn't believe how perfect that festival was. It's by far the best festival I've ever been to. And I've been to some good all-day festivals, but this was just perfection. Out of the whole festival that year, we only actually failed to not catch up with two bands we planned to interview. We was both really pleased with that total. The schedule we set ourselves was rather punishing, and also you only had to get delayed somewhere for 10 minutes, and further down the line that would probably cost an interview with another band. So to just miss out on two, that was a good start for MPRV. And we'd laid a marker down on how we was going to approach future Manchester Punk Festivals. 2019. Things had finally settled down with MPRV, and the knives that was out against us in the background were actually now working for us by flushing out who was really our friends and who really were not. The message had finally sunk in that me and Shell were not going anywhere. Leave us alone and let us get on with our business, and boy did we get on with our business. After the 2018 Manchester Punk Festival, Shell kept bringing up every now and again about us getting a GoPro. I was kind of unsure about taking that route. With Shell already having to do interviews, to her to be working the GoPro as well, I was a bit wary it would tire her out, more having to do all that workload. But she was keen as mustard to do it, so in the end we went for it. We actually got one about 2 or 3 days before Revenge of the Psychotronic Man's farewell show in Manchester. Although we never tested the camera before and we was going totally blind with the settings, I was blown away with some of the footage Shell pulled out, with the camera being in with the audience showing all the fun they was having. One of my favourite things of filming is actually people having a good time. I actually enjoyed filming that as much as filming the bands. And Shell was capturing it perfect with the GoPro. There was certain things that bothered me. For example, certain lights, colours on the stage would mess with the GoPro video. But on the whole, we was ready to go, and I was really excited to unleash it along with my camera on Manchester Punk Festival 2019. The 2019 more or less was a carbon copy for us of the 2018. I spent the usual 3 weekends going through sound files as I was still playing catch up. Maybe I'll never catch up with these buggers. They seem to know so many bands, they just keep unleashing on us. As normal at MPF 2019, we worked our usual Megatike schedule. For example, when Grand Collapse played the Union, we had arranged to interview Not On Tour at the Gorilla, which was a fair distance from the Union venue. Not On Tour had a tour manager with them, so we knew they'd be very punctual and on time. So basically we arranged between each other where Shell would just shoot off and wait outside the venue to set up the interview, and I would record the very first song of Grand Collapse. As soon as the song had finished, I got over to Gorilla as fast as I could, and as soon as I got to the back door of the venue, they all came out. It was that tight, and within a few seconds I was filming another interview. I guess MPRV will always work to the wire with the Manchester Punk Festival. In some ways, it's the only way me and Shell know. That festival, even to the very last minute of the festival, was working to the wire. We ended up on the very last night with 2 bands to interview, but time had ran out on me and Shell. One of the bands we had to let go. We decided to interview the lesser known band. The bigger bands would have done tons of interviews anyway and probably didn't really need the promotion as much. So there was me and Shell in an alley stuck behind the bread shed at 1:30 in the morning on our last legs, with everyone gone home and the lights out, interviewing our last band of the festival. After that we finally headed back to the hotel and did the ritual we did every night every year, of stuffing ourselves with fast food and having a few cocktail drinks as well, and basically loading the footage all onto the hard drive from the day's filming. That is one of the main reasons that we had so much lack of sleep every day. Our MPRV work didn't end when the last band had finished playing the last note. We still had all this stuff to put onto a portable hard drive in the hotel room and try and top up on a few drinks to help us sleep. Every minute of sleep really counted, but you know what, we won't swap it for anything. I guess to sum up the Manchester Punk Festival in easy terms would in some ways be the 2020 festival. It had sold out but got cancelled because of the arrival of the COVID virus in this country. Because of it going into full tilt in March, only 4 or 5 weeks before the festival, the organisers had already got in all the merchandise for the festival. So they was all lumpered with these t-shirts, sweat tops, etc. for the festival that was never going to happen. And they all had the dates of the festival on. But you know what? The Manchester Punk Festival is just one big family. And everybody grouped together and still brought the merchandise. If you ever get a chance in your life, please try the Manchester Punk Festival out. You won't regret it, and you'll probably have it in your diary from that point onwards every year as your number one festival to go to. Sadly, as things stand, MPRV had invested in a lot of new gear to help with the editing for this festival. It was basically going to make smoother cutting for the 2-cam footage, as my computer basically cannot handle 2 camera. When I was working with the 2 visuals, they go in slow motion, skip frames, just meant for a total sluggish cut. So at this present time, we've only actually used the new gear on editing for Garlic Bread Club 3 before the virus showed. So if you watch that footage, you'll see how much smoother the editing is, and hopefully something for everyone to look forward to in the future. But for right now, like everyone else, MPRV are just here in the shadows and waiting. Well, that just about wraps up my MPRV Origins series. I'd just like to say thank you for people that have sat through supporting me through the 15 episodes, and I also apologise to the people who have suffered through the 15 episodes. I don't think I ever did any of these 15 episodes sober. I even get nervous using a microphone without a camera on me. But it helped to slow my talking down to a point where Americans can understand me, as normally my normal speed I struggle. Hopefully over the coming years I'll build up some more stories to maybe do some more. But for now, that's it. MPRV News is a DIY punk channel. We will never use adverts or buying fake viewers, fake subscribers, fake comments, etc. to fool promoters and punters alike. We will always be the DIY channel keeping punk real. Thank you for watching MPRV News.